About 9,000 people responded to a survey saying what they really think about Dungeons & Dragons and its parent company, Wizard of the Coast. And we are going to look at the results to find out if people love them or hate them. Do they think they're getting more popular or less popular? Do they like the direction of the game and company or not? Because I'm Bob, this is where we learn how to have more fun playing RPGs together. And there's an asterisk on this data. Wizard of the Coast published this survey, shared it on Twitter, but they were probably never gonna share a copy of these fascinating results. So I made a copy of the survey and a video about it with a sarcastically conspiratorial tone of WotC hiding the real data. But then coincidentally, their 1 week old survey closed, like right after my video went up. So comments and response videos doubled down on this cover-up idea, meaning a lot of people were drawn to this satisfaction survey with a negative pretext. However, we must also acknowledge that even the official WotC survey wasn't going to capture a great sample. Maybe it was shared elsewhere, but only about 800 people took the millisecond of time to heart their tweet about it. We got 9,000 actual responses, so huge thanks to everyone who took the survey and shared it. Now, following Sly Flourish's advice, I'll be sharing my predictions of the results for each question, which I wrote ahead of time, and then viewing the results for the first time, and we can discuss them from there. So question 1, how do you feel about Dungeons & Dragons D&D? I think this is going to be roughly 50-50, I love the game and I like the game. Because I believe that the vast majority of people who watch my videos and Professor's videos understand that D&D means pretty much any game with a d20, roll and strength, dexterity, there's dragons, there's owlbears, elves, etc. And since we make videos almost exclusively about how much fun we think these games are, I think the people who watch our videos agree with that. Let's check it out. Oh boy, okay, 35% love, 39% like, and then a larger portion of neutral, don't like, and even hate than I would have suspected. I overestimated the love, the like is pretty accurate, and I completely underestimated the neutral and don't like and hate because I assumed that would be pretty much zero. Now, I have to assume that comes down to people's interpretation of what is D&D, but nonetheless, there's a lot of love and a lot of like for D&D out there. And I'm happy to see that so many people are still happy with D&D because, like I said earlier, so am I. That's why I still make videos about it, and it's why I'm launching my first Kickstarter, Delve. Tagline, how to build and survive deadly dungeons. It starts with my own compilation of the best advice and guidelines for designing and safely exploring dungeons. It's got a bunch of dungeons to play, traps, puzzles, and monsters that you can plug right into your game. Some of those monsters are crafted by Professor DM, Hanker and Fernail, Ginny D, D&D Shorts, and more of your favorite creators. And really to make this happen, I partnered with Evantier Games, who has published several successful 5e Kickstarters already. But we're also producing a Shadowdark version of this entire book, and whichever one you get both PDFs for the price of one. Also, for players, there's new races, new subclasses for 5e, and talent tables for Shadowdark. There's dice, and there's cards for all this stuff for easy GM reference. And yes, so the PCs can activate your trap card. So, thank you for listening to all that. I'm very excited, and please use the link below to check out Delve today. Okay, question number 2 is, when was the last time you recommended D&D to someone else? 1 minute ago. Nah, but I think most people taking this survey have probably not recommended D&D to someone in the last month, partially because most people aren't making videos and publishing materials for the game, but generally, I just don't think most people are going around to their coworkers and classmates telling them they should play D&D. So I would just say 80% sometime in the past year, 20% haven't done it in more than a year. And we got 30% in the past year. Wow. And yeah, a whole 20% actually saying they have in the past month, and then 40% more than a year ago. So people are definitely recommending it more than I thought, and I guess less than I thought if the percentage from more than a year ago is higher. I guess overall it is a more even distribution than I would have guessed, with that sliver of never, people who have never recommended it. Which is interesting in itself. I would not have suspected that anyone here has never recommended D&D. Like, who are you playing with? Maybe they were the newest person in a group and then they never brought anybody else in, but yeah, maybe that has something to do with this next one. Number 3, do you think D&D is becoming less popular, becoming more popular, or staying the same? And I think that the majority of people watching videos about D&D on YouTube have probably only started playing within the last 5 or maybe 10 years, or started playing again in that time frame after a long break since the 80s and 90s. And technically, I think the majority of people who have ever played D&D have only started in this last decade because of the incredible growth since the launch of 5e and Stranger Things all about 10 years ago. So what I'm getting at is that many of these people probably understand that the main reason they're into D&D right now is that D&D has become way more popular in the last several years. But I also think that many people who regularly watch RPG YouTube may assume that D&D is currently becoming less popular because creators like myself, Mike Shea, and Professor DM talk about more than one RPG these days. But ultimately, I've changed my mind on this one. We've got a new version of 5e coming out this year. New season of Stranger Things probably coming out in the next year or two. So even if we are in a lull right now, I think there's another big wave of D&D popularity coming soon, and I also think that many people will see that coming. So I'm just going to go out on a limb here and call it perfectly even 33% for each of these responses. Hey, and we're actually not too far off there. 25% becoming more popular, 33% becoming less, and 40% staying the same. That is really interesting. But this next one is where I expect things to start getting a little negative. Number 4, how do you feel about the current direction of the D&D game? So I'm just going to keep this one quick and say that like 60% negative side, 20% neutral, 20% positive side, mostly because of the WotC conspiracy framing of these particular videos. Let's check it out. Okay, so I said 60 negative side, and the actual is 38 plus 24. So like 65% negative side. Boom. And I said 20% neutral. It came out 25% neutral and 20% positive side. So there is only 11% positive and strongly positive. But hey, I was pretty close there. I'm a little bummed about how negative it is, but I'm also not super positive about the current direction of the game. And like I said, I think it was just mostly based on the framing of these videos kind of attracting people with a more negative opinion about WotC and therefore the future direction of D&D, because WotC is the ones controlling it. I guess that contradicts a little of what I said at the beginning with D&D being more broad than just what WotC produces, but oh right, because here's where it's probably going to get way worse. Next, we'd like to ask you a few questions about Wizards of the Coast. 5. How do you feel about Wizards of the Coast? Now, I wish that no one would go so far as to say they hate or love a company, but I've seen enough YouTube comments in my day to know that extreme opinions are common on the interwebs, and lots of people do claim to hate this company. So I'm gonna guess between hate and don't like, 80% and 20% for the rest of it. And we have... Dude, okay, so partially I'm basing this off of, it's called the Pareto principle, where a lot of things just kind of fall on an 80-20 split, but this is uncanny. 28% hate, 50% don't like. That is very close to my prediction of 80% hate and don't like. And then the remainder is obviously very close to 20, between neutral and like. Now, I guess I wasn't very specific about like where that division between hate and don't like would fall. I just said that whole negative category would be 80 and the positive and neutral category would be 20. Oh, and it looks like we actually have a teeny... I can't even see it. How do I see how many people said love? I can't even highlight it. Not surprising though. And moving on, when was the last time you recommended Wizards of the Coast products to someone else? So unless people are out there recommending Magic the Gathering like more regularly, this is going to be similar to question 2, which off the top of my head, I don't remember the results of already. So I'm repeating my guess. You know, again, I scripted these predictions earlier. 80% past year, 20% more than a year ago. And we got, whoa. All right, I'm going to have to check out number 2 again. 50% saying more than a year ago, where last time we had 40% saying more than a year ago, and we had 30% in the past year. This one is 17% in the last year. So these are not the same though. Like here we have 7% of people said they recommended a Wizard of the Coast product in the last month. But up here, 23% of people said they recommended D&D in the last month. So I guess this has to then go back to the perspective I said before, where some people might be viewing D&D as a wider category beyond just whatever WotC makes, including things like Shadowdark, for example. So we're just going to go to the next one. Do you think Wizards of the Coast is becoming less popular, more popular, or staying the same? Again, based on the framing of these videos, my hypothesis is that these results will show people think Wizards is totally tanking. I'm going to say 80% less popular, 20% the same, 0% saying more popular. And there it is, 84% becoming less popular, 12% staying the same. But we do have a non-negligible but small amount of people saying that Wizards is becoming more popular right now. And that might have to do with what I said in my video where I was like kind of conflating popularity with infamy, but really it's not. Like popular means people know about you and like you. And probably more people are hearing about Wizards of the Coast these days, but it's for all the wrong reasons. And here we go. 8. How do you feel about the current direction of Wizards of the Coast? So what I have written down here is 40% strongly negative, 40% negative, and 20% between neutral, positive, and strongly positive. That was my actual prediction. Seeing these results, I'm thinking it's like really slim neutral and positive and way more on the negative side of things. But before we look at these results, friendly reminder that the best way to steer the direction of the RPG industry is not by saying, I don't like what WotC is doing. It's by supporting the publishers who are making stuff you like more. So even if you decide to support my Kickstarter purely out of spite for Wizards of the Coast, I'll take it. And we have, so kind of close to what I had actually written down. I said 40% strongly negative, 40% negative, and it fell at 55 and 35. So there was more in the strongly negative, and then, yeah, because I said 20% neutral and positive, and it's actually only about 10% between those two. So I overestimated the neutrality and positivity by double what it actually came out to be. And finally, my added question that was not on the original survey: how often do you watch or read content about RPG news and current events? I added this question because I think this will reveal how myself and everyone taking this survey is really tuned in. Meanwhile, the vast majority of the D&D community, which is not represented in this survey, or WotC's official survey for that matter, they have no idea about what Wizard of the Coast has been up to, probably never even heard the name. They're just playing D&D for fun, and that's awesome. So I'm thinking like 50% daily news, 40% weekly, 10% monthly, and probably 0% yearly or never, because it would be really weird if those people clicked this video. And we have, okay, yeah, I said 50% daily, it's 42% daily, and 42% weekly. That's crazy, a straight up tie between daily and weekly, 42.8% each, and 10% monthly, or rather 12% monthly, where I said 10%. That is really interesting. And apparently we ended up with 1.2% of people who watch or read about RPG news like once per year. And this was their... I don't believe that just happened. My battery just died. Okay, and I don't know if this WotC conspiracy has more to it than we thought, but my camera just died totally unexpectedly. So I think I've been hacked by WotC, guys. We gotta pull the plug on this thing. We're gonna wrap this up. So once again, thank you for being tuned in to this independent RPG scene, because that attentiveness and support is how we can make this new amazing book together. So please tell everyone you know about it. And as always, thanks to the Bob World Builder patrons for making this video possible, and keep building.